In this video I'm going to be assembling some Kumiko screens for a Shoji lamp, and I'll start by assembling the frame. In this case I've already cut the Kumiko parts, and I'll show that in another video if you want me to. And for this Kumiko I'm going to be doubling up on the walls. That'll make the whole Kumiko a little bit stiffer. Now I need to start by cutting the rough length of the large diagonals, and I'll need 4 of those. Once I get that cut out, I'll need to start with the 45-degree Kumiko jig, and I'll put 45 degrees on both ends of this piece. There's a little bit of back and forth to get this to the right fit. Now I need to measure and cut the smaller diagonals, and these can be the most difficult parts. What I do here is I use another piece, which will be the key, to help me find roughly the center, and then I go about 2 millimeters beyond that piece. I start out by cutting only 2 of these smaller diagonals because I need to get the right fit before I go on and cut the rest of them and make sure these work well. one end of each needs to be at 22.5 degrees, and I use my 22.5 degree jig to do this. Every other angle in this Kumiko is centered except for this angle. The other ends of these two parts need to be at 67.5 degrees. Now the reason why I'm using two 67.5 degree jigs is that these are not centered. It's about 1/3 and 2/3, and you'll see in the drawing in just a second I show how that looks. Now, the smaller part of that 67.5 degree angle, the 1/3 side, should come together in the middle. That leaves the 2/3 side sticking out, and that creates a 45 degree angle for the key, which you'll see in just a second. And now that those first two small diagonals look good, I can go ahead and cut a whole bunch of those small diagonals for the rest of the Kumiko frames. And then I put the 22.5 degree angle on one end and the 67.5 degree angle on the other end of all of these small diagonal pieces. Now I have all of the angles done. I can go ahead and I can create the key, which will lock it all together. The key gets a 45 degree angle on both ends. And again, the key can take a few tries before you get the right fit. Once I get a good fit, then I can go ahead and cut the rest of the keys. Up until now, all of the pieces have been just pushed together. Now I'm adding glue and putting them back together. With the glue dry on all of the Kumikos, I can go ahead and I can use my Japanese pull saw to cut the ends off. Now I like to use my shooting board for this because it creates a nice, good, stable edge that I can push against. And I also sometimes use my plane to very lightly clean up those edges and making sure not to put any pressure on the tabs. Now I can use a roller to put a very thin coat of glue on the back. It has to be thin because otherwise it will come through the paper. Once the glue's dry, I can cut them out with a very sharp blade, and they are done.